she was gonna keep. Oh yeah, alright, take it easy baby, make it last all night. She was an American girl.
This is Deborahcratic, a podcast where we sit down with everyday Americans and hear their extraordinary stories. I'm your host, Deborah Drucker. Come along with me as we discuss those things that we were always told not to talk about: politics, religion, and more. I promise you'll be inspired and have your mind opened by the end of this episode.
Well, it was kind of cold that night. She stood alone on the balcony. Yeah, she could hear the cars roll by out on 441, like waves crashing on the beach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Deborahcratic. Today, we are going to meet Erin Wolfkiel. Erin has been a dedicated skateboarder since the age of 14. She spent her teen years as one of the only girls at the skate park. Erin became an acclaimed skateboarder after numerous competitions and is now considered a skateboarder social influencer. You can catch some of her moves on Instagram, which is full of short clips exhibiting her skill on the board. Let's hear how this talented, determined, and driven lady dug deep, reinvented herself, and rediscovered her joy. How you doing, Erin?
I'm doing great. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show. And you are beautiful, by the way, as I sit here meeting you for the first time. So you live in LA now, and how do you like that?
It's a dream come true. I've been here since 2017, and yeah, it couldn't be getting any better.
And where are you originally from?
Originally, I was born in Chicago, but I like to say that I was raised in Cincinnati because that's where I spent junior high, high school, and college.
And who did you grow up with in Cincinnati?
Grew up with my mom, my dad, and my twin brother, Patrick.
And so you have one sibling, and you're twins, huh? Who came out first?
I did. All twins know that.
So you're the boss, huh?
Yeah. Yes. I'm older. I'm older by 20 minutes. So
20 minutes?
Yes, my poor mother.
That's kind of a big space for twins, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I was ready. I don't think he was ready to enter the room.
What was that home life like?
It was interesting. I definitely grew up with two very blue-collar, hardworking parents. My mom's a nurse. My dad's a school teacher. I think I always wanted a taste for adventure and a taste for an interesting life. And I found expression through sports and activities to try to, exert energy in some capacity.
Were you an athletic kid?
Yes, I was very athletic. I wanted to be. I'm small. I'm only 5'3". So I always made the B team, let's say all the way up to junior high. I was never picked first. And I think I was always really disappointed in that. I wanted to do well and excel in something athletic. And I picked skateboarding because I thought very few girls did it. So my chance to getting good at it was much easier.
Yeah. So tell us about how and when you first picked up a skateboard and how that came to be.
I think I took all my birthday money when I was 12 years old. And I took it to the local Vans store in a mall. This was in Chicago. And I bought my first skateboard off the wall there, knowing nothing. I think they put the trucks on backwards and nothing was right. And I remember being like, this is so cool. This is my first thing. I'm pretty sure that sat in a garage for 2 years. And then I eventually started picking it up later in middle school and early high school.
So you got your board and you become obsessed with it. Are you a little bit intimidated by it? Tell me about that.
Yeah, definitely intimidated. At first when I started in middle school, when I was I'm going to skate, I told all the skater boys, and I remember them calling me a poser. It meant that I was faking it, which was great because it actually really motivated me to go and practice. There's this really funny story that's always stands out in my head of why I really stuck with skateboarding. I was inline skating, the rollerblading at the skate park first because it was way easier. I had balance. I knew how not to fall. And we had gone with my next door neighbor. We've now jumped to living in Cincinnati. And we'd gone to this local skate park, and he had rollerblades too. And we were kind of competitive with each other. We were the same age. We were trying to, I don't know, one up each other on all the obstacles. He does a grind on his rollerblades that was so difficult that I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do this trick. So I immediately rip off my rollerblades and I grab my board and I like run over to the little bowl to drop in because no one had dropped in yet on a skateboard out of the group of us. I remember just putting the board up and dropping in and not falling. And I never put on the rollerblades again.
Oh, wow. And how'd you do when you dropped in?
I didn't fall.
Okay.
I made it perfect. And I got out and I was like, okay, I can do this.
That's very cool. And so that must have been a real rush for you, huh?
It was. It was definitely a pivotal moment.
Was it kind of a tomboy thing to be a girl skateboarding in those days?
Oh, for sure. For sure. But I definitely I've gone through phases of whether I wanted to be a tomboy or a girly girl, but I get to choose, which is great. But yeah, back then it was like at school, I was preppy and I wore Abercrombie and I very much wanted to fit in. But then at the skate park, I was in my like Volcom and Pac Sunwear, whatever slightly tomboyish clothes I could get my hands on at the time.
And hey, listeners out there, forgive me for the word tomboy. I don't even know if that's PC anymore, but you know what I mean.
It was very much the word to describe who I was during those years. So it's okay.
And with those conservative parents, how did they feel about their only daughter playing kind of these boy sports back then, kind of more boy sporty?
My mom, I think, thought it was a phase. That's what she always says. Like she thought I was going to grow out of it or just something to like have fun with. But then I didn't pick up any high school sports. Like I think I ran cross country freshman year and track. But then I was like, no more after this. I am fully taking skateboarding as far as I can. And mind you, I could do like one trick.
So after you got your bearings straight, so to speak, and you knew you wanted to focus on skateboarding, tell me, how that progresses into competition or where do you go from there?
So there's two moments. My dad, for Christmas, my freshman year of high school, we lived in Ohio, so it's cold during the winter months. So skateboarding has to be done indoors, and there's just a few places for it. And my dad noticed that right before, winter, I was really interested in skating and I was really into it. So he bought me a gift card for like time at the local skate park because you had to pay for your little 2-hour sessions to go in. And I remember getting the gift card and that being the highlight of all. I don't even remember any other presents that year to this day. And so that started my regular occurrence of going to a place to practice. Fast forward 9-10 months, I see a flyer at a different skate park because at this time now I'm like exploring different skate parks. A woman was trying to arrange a girls' meetup. And this is, oh my gosh, this is like the year 2004, 2005 maybe. There are no girl skaters. Like it's me and my pink helmet and my dad. And this woman had put a flyer up to try to get girls to show up to a skate park. I show up, I'm the only one that day. And I remember her going, wow, how long have you been skateboarding for? You're so good. And then she told me about competitions and how I could get out there. Like she just totally expanded my universe from the very small view of skateboarding I had back then. And she just lit the competitor in me up and was like, you're really good. Keep with it. If you've really only been doing this for 9 months, where you're at is incredible. And then I was competing, I think like less than a year later in like Cocoa Beach, Florida. And then we flew out to California a couple times.
What about your brother? Was he skating at the time or what was his deal?
So my brother actually was coming out as gay back then. So my mom had this like skateboard tomboy daughter and this gay son. And we're living in like a really conservative place. And I felt for her. I felt like everybody on the block was like, what the hell is up with your family?
And so being from this conservative family, were politics ever discussed or did politics play any role in the house?
Not tremendously. They were very socially liberal. And I think it was because of my brother and I. So the only thing that I can remember growing up was them voting more Democratic. And then I would say we were pretty religious. Like my dad has a degree in religion and he taught my Bible studies and I did confirmation.
Okay, so that's a Catholic household?
Yep.
Okay. And your last name is strikingly German, obviously.
Very German, yes.
And so how many generations American are you? I mean, I'm assuming you were born in America.
I was. My great-grandmother came over on a boat from Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. Interesting.
Ireland.
Have you ever done your DNA?
I have. I'm actually more Scottish than I am. I'm Erin Shea, but I am actually almost like 43% Scottish or something ridiculous like that.
Anyway, so in the house, there was not really a lot of politics. There was some religion. And does religion carry through to who you are today?
I'm very spiritual and I'm very into consciousness and awareness. And I think the Bible has some very, very beautiful teachings and maybe what I would call medicine stories, but I don't like partake in any type of organized, religion.
Got you. Okay, back to the skateboarding career. So you're going now to competitions, and are you placing, in the top tier of these competitions?
Yes. I remember it being like the next spring. I go to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and all these girls from Southern California are there. It's called a World Cup skateboarding competition. So it's like they're going to get points. They're going to get added to a total. I get second to last, or maybe last, out of like 9 or 10 girls. I was pretty crushed. I remember being like, wow, these girls are so much better than me. I was like, I really have to go, like, actually step my game up. And then later that summer, there was another competition in Oregon called the Oregon Trifecta. And I think I came back and got third with almost the same group of girls. So the same like 8 or 9 that were in South Florida that I had gotten second to last or last place, I had moved all the way up to, I believe it was third place in that Oregon competition that summer. And then I was like, oh, I'm here to stay. This is my thing.
Okay. So what'd you do to advance your skill?
I lived at the skate park. That's really what it was. It was putting in the reps and the time that it took to just like build the skill and skated faster. That's what everyone told me. I skated slow. I had to go from skating slow to skating fast. And I was like, all right, I'll be fast.
And being that you are such a driven person and you can also be a very anxious person is what I'm gathering, do they go together?
Oh, for sure. This is entirely my nervous system trying to figure out how to express itself in a somewhat healthy way, as I would describe it.
So the anxiety kind of catapults your drive rather than dampens it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so the anxiety doesn't prevent you from achieving.
No, it's my fire. It's more the fear of it either not working out or me not giving it. Yeah, I found a way to use my anxiety to self-improve rather than self-deprecate, which is pretty interesting.
Okay, so you do this trifecta, you score big, and then what happens?
Now I'm 17. I'm a junior in high school. No one cares that I skateboard or I don't have, it's like I'm some chick in Ohio that I think I represented all of Ohio for girl skate. Like I was the Ohio girl skater. There's 2 of us. There was another girl in a completely different city and that was it. So I think I actually started individually reaching out to the local newspapers myself, writing emails back then to be like, hey, I just got second place. Hey, I just got third place in these competitions. I got the local newspaper to come to the skate park and do a little story on me. I still have it all folded up somewhere in storage here. And it was one of my cuter, prouder moments of a local highlight. Fast forward basically through most of high school, there was a major competition, another Oregon trifecta, 3 days in a row, 3 different parks. This is where a lot of the girls from Southern California came out to really show their skills. And I got to go to that the summer after I graduated high school. And it was the first competition where I had placed first for the overall for the weekend. And essentially, it was the same group of girls that had been competing with me since I was 16 in Florida. We had all kind of grown up together. And this was the height of it. And I was really, really happy to walk away with a win that weekend.
So this time you're not third, you're first.
Yeah.
Nice.
I finally beat the SoCal girls as I can tell myself.
This is while you're still in high school, yeah?
Yes, living in Ohio.
Okay. And then I see that you go to college. And where did you go to college?
University of Cincinnati. So I go to school, I get a job out of school. I move for a job to South Florida for a very short stint. It doesn't really work out. I was only there for about 9 months. And that's when I was like, okay, the move to Florida wasn't scary from Ohio. I can now move to the West Coast.
Are you still skateboarding through this time?
Yeah, but not I'm not competing. I'm kind of just like a worker bee at a job that likes to skateboard on the side. But I was actually getting really frustrated with it because I think I expected more from myself and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting better. And like all the other girls who I had been competing with start getting brand sponsorships and bigger opportunities. And I'm more or less like still falling into my own BS of like, why isn't this happening for me? And I couldn't really figure out why. And I was really running into that wall for a long time.
Do you think that it was you had to have a full-time job and therefore you weren't on the board as much?
Yeah, it was working a lot to support myself.
That first job, was that when you were working for like the private jet company?
Yeah, I started working at Delta Private Jets right out of college.
And that was not fulfilling for you, huh?
It's fun, but yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be the end goal.
Okay, so that's your first job. You're not satisfied. You're not skating as much.
Yep.
And then what happens?
I take the second job, still skate, not satisfied, still just taking jobs. I had grown up in a more financially restricted household, and I think I understood that my least path of resistance to having a better life was money and making myself financially stable. So I grinded. I was one of those kids that was like, nope, I'm not going to be broke. I will work my ass off. So thank goodness I channeled that anxiety and that energy into sales careers where I was able to really do well for myself. I knew that if I was in California, I would be skateboarding more and I'd be around the right people and the right things. I think I was 24, almost 25. I was like, all right, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it. I'll just get stuck and comfortable wherever I'm at. And so, yeah, I packed all my things into a car and shipped it on a truck and sent it across the country and flew here and got an apartment off of Craigslist. It was, I mean, like, I should not be here with how these things lined up.
And so the drive, the desire then, and the reason for the move to California, was that to pursue a professional career in skateboarding, or was that to just pursue a career that could support you and you could also have fun and enjoy your life of skateboarding?
It was actually a mix of both because I didn't know if the professional career was ever going to work out. Yes, pipe dream, Erin, 150%. She was like, we're going to California to go pro and go to the Olympics and XYZ reasons. I think that was always in the back. That was the motivating factor. But then I was like, I need a job to support myself. I think I found something off of like LinkedIn and did like a phone interview. Like I just like threw a dart at a dartboard and was like, well, this is where we're going to show up and I hope it all works out.
Okay. So then you end up in California. And what happens when you get to California?
I move into a very cute little back house studio in wonderful Palms, Culver City area here in West LA. I think I got a job at the Audi dealership because I quit the other job that I got on LinkedIn because it was too terrible and shady and I didn't like it. And then somehow the stars aligned again and a private aviation startup called Wheels Up reached out to me and wanted to give me a VP title right away and a great job. And that was only 5 months into me moving out to Los Angeles. So it like alleviates a lot of the stress and tension that was occurring. But mind you, I was financially stable the whole time. So I don't know why I was doing it to myself, but
Very
I was
ambitious. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. I was like, oh, we're not settling. We're not settling. So I get the job, get a great job, great title, great company, all of it. But I think I was still so stuck in just my old way of living. Like I had never trained before. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't know how to be an athlete. I wanted to be an athlete and I was very athletic, but I didn't understand what it took to like really become her.
And so this is in your 20s?
I was 24 to about 28.
And where is skateboarding in your life at this time?
It's every day. It's a part of me. It's like I love it, but I'm too wrapped up in my head to like get better. Like it's like I have a lot of walls with it. I'm scared with things I used to do a long time ago. It's a battle. We were in a rough spot, skateboarding and I, for that period.
But you're so passionate. So clearly you find a way to keep your marriage with skateboarding together and build yourself a career in LA.
Yes.
Kudos to you for that. Cheers.
Thank you.
And I love that then you become this person who is looking for how to grow yourself spiritually, emotionally, your passion, your confidence, all of this. And I see that you transform yourself physically
How?
You take your health and physical fitness seriously. And is that just being on the West Coast by all the, beach babes? And
It's so funny you say that.
what was the inspiration?
I got a new boyfriend, so that was great. But besides him, it was the pandemic a little bit. It was the time to be able to like sit back and evaluate. Because before I was in so go mode and living off of microwave meals that like I had no idea what I was doing to myself. I was so unaware of like how to treat my body that the pandemic finally slowed my life down enough where I could like look at things and adjust and fine tune. And then he like joked with me about like, because I'd never had abs before. He was like, yeah, if you do 200 sit-ups a day, you'll get abs in 3 months. And I was like, stop it, for real. And he was like, yeah, just give it a try. And I was like, all right. The Erin only needed the structure and the workflow to get something done and someone to explain it to her right. And then, yeah, sure enough, fast forward 3.5 years later, and I've just been, my body is very grateful for where we're at.
Yeah, you look really fit.
I have abs just from diet, not from working out. And it's like so beautiful. And they're easy to maintain. Everyone can have abs. I'll teach you.
And by the way, does that improve your skateboarding, being so physically fit?
150%. I walk away from things that if had happened to me when I was 27, 28, I would have had to have surgery for or go to the emergency room, that I now get up and like go home.
And through school or whatever, did you ever have an agent, a manager, any sponsorship, any of that stuff? Or were you ambitious for that in the world of skateboarding?
I wanted it desperately. I just had 2 parents that had no idea how to navigate those waters. Very antisocial at events, right? Like no one was connecting dots. So people would send me stuff and they would try, but this was pre-Instagram and the word to be able to get spread that way just wasn't there. Like the dots to get connected.
Right. But I see that you were in some commercials.
That's all recent. Erin blew up in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Tell us how you became this skateboarder social influencer.
Yeah. So mind you, the internet didn't really care. I could kickflip for the last 10 years. And then I lost weight. I got in shape and I feel like I healed all my inner, BS with myself. We can call it trauma, whatever you want to name it. And oh my God, the universe just like opened its doors to me. And I started posting on Instagram Reels in April of 2021. I think it was my first one ever. And it went viral. It got over like 250,000. And mind you, I had like no followers, 3,000 followers at the time. And it went from, that was 250,000 views. The next one got 500,000. The third one got 750,000. And then we hit the 1 million mark by the summer. And then it's just been this really fun climb ever since.
Well, I checked your Insta and I think it's awesome. And those are current clips of you out there skateboarding with that ripped body.
Yeah, it was like a week ago. That was just like last Wednesday at, 7 p.m. with the homegirl at the park.
As someone who studied marketing, what do you think people are responding to on the socials?
That's a great question. So I had a little bit of insight. I was actually doing some social media work through a digital media agency, and we were being told Instagram Reels was being pushed a lot of organic traffic at the beginning because they were trying to take over TikTok. And so I knew, number one, this was a very hot, quick way to get in front of a lot of people. Number two, I had recently gotten in a lot better shape, so I had physically never been this fit. And I think attractiveness does help when it comes across on the internet. And number three, I have enough skill and ability in a unique sport. So it's kind of like tying multiple layers of interesting things that are already niches on the internet and like layering them all together. And then also putting like a catchy audio tune to it. So I took what was already working and literally just applied it to my framework. And it worked well.
What do you think it is that people are drawn to with you? Do you think it's just you're such a cool person? Do you think it's the actual skateboarding? Do you think it's the attitude that you put out there?
I think it's a combination of all three. I definitely get told people follow me for like the lifestyle and then how I come off while I'm skating. I've been told by a couple folks that I do have really great style on a skateboard, so I might not have the most diverse bag of tricks or, I'm not jumping down giant stairs, but the way that I do skate, I have been told by a lot of people that the style is they're like, I like how you skateboard. So I think it's a combo. It's the lifestyle, my attitude, I do dress a little bit more uniquely for the setting, I guess. I wear athletic wear, but just at the skate park, yoga pants and yoga fits to the skate park. And I definitely think it draws attention in a different way.
And being an influencer, have you been approached by any fashion brands to wear their stuff?
Yeah, I have been very materially blessed from the internet. So I will say the amount of free clothes has been a plethora. And since I lost weight, like not even 3 years ago, I've had to like really redo my whole wardrobe. And I'm very blessed that I have had to do very little of that own purchasing.
And when you get these items for free, do you have to shout out the names or the brands?
Not anymore. That comes with the price tag, if you want me to shout it out.
For sure. And do you get a lot of input in the comment sections, in the feedback? And do you engage with your fans or your followers?
I definitely engage because I'm grateful for them. Things go especially viral when people start arguing with each other in the comments. So that's always a funny thing that the internet does. Like arguing over my clothing, whether I should or shouldn't be wearing leggings. That's a great thread.
Well, what are the other girl skaters wearing?
Baggy pants. Everyone's really on the baggy pants wave. So I am
still, huh?
Yeah, still. I'll wear them. I own baggy pants. I find the other ones comfortable.
Being a social media influencer, do you get a lot of hate or is it always a lot of love?
So this is where I can't tell if I'm just in my own ego in my head. I believe the people reflect back to me how I present myself. And I'd say like 99% of it is really positive. I'll get the, 1 or 2% of the haters out there, but nothing bad. And it's mostly goofy boys who like live in their mom's basement and are just trash talking my clothes.
And then how do you get anything in commercials? How does it come about?
Essentially, after I started going viral for a while, I think my follower count was only at like 20 or 25,000. An agency had reached out to represent me, which is the first time ever in my whole life, which was really cool. And I was very excited. And then you have to do the whole thing. You get your headshots, you go in, you meet the people, you shake hands, do the whole nine. And then they start submitting you for work that's based on the criteria of the ad. And I kind of fit the niche of an expertise talent in the world of skateboarding. So for commercial bookings, they'll get requests for things like that. And I get to shoot my shot.
I think it's awesome. I think it's really, really cool. And I wanted to ask you a couple more kind of politically leaning questions since we're called Deborahcratic. I saw that you were in the weed business or you are in the weed business.
I am. I'm in cannabis.
In what capacity?
A bunch of capacities. But right now I work for a really cute company called I Heart Jane. They sell e-commerce solutions and I help sell advertising for dispensaries to get new customers.
It's quite an industry. And I know that one of the things politically is that we all hope that this goes, that it becomes federally legal.
Yes.
And
Please.
it could put a lot of money in the states, I believe.
It could.
Will that have any play in how you vote in this upcoming election?
Probably.
Or in any election, really.
Yeah, I think because I'm on the more cannabis positive side of things, it's had actually I was one of those kids that didn't start consuming weed like a really good egg until I was 26. Like I followed the rules. And now I consume it pretty regularly. Now everything is with moderation. So I would definitely vote in favor of it being legalized because of that. It's had a positive impact. You know, that anxiety I have?
Does it calm that?
For sure. It calms the parts of myself that allow my brain to think in ways that I normally wouldn't have been able to before.
Okay.
And it opens up new pathways.
Awesome. Well, hey, that's positive. Well, how do we find you? How do the listeners find you on social media?
So it's a play on my last name. It's Erin Wolfkiel on all platforms. Just because Wolfkiel is too confusing for people to spell, I just spelled out what it was probably 500 years ago. So it's ERIN. And then wolf, like the animal, Killa, Erin Wolfkiel.
Excellent. Check her out. She really has some fun on her board. And also, I do want to ask you a couple more political things.
Let's go.
And really, basically, how do you feel, or do you personally feel anything about the political landscape in our country today?
I think we're way too divided and separated, whether it's by design or just an outcome of capitalism getting this large. I think we're all human beings at the end of the day, and I think we all need to actually see that.
Amen to that. And so what makes you optimistic about the future of our country?
I think with all the access to all this information, there is kind of an awakening happening, or just an increase in personal self-awareness. And I'm hoping that leads to just better decision making and better treatment of just people and culture and things overall. Was my open-ended answer.
Awesome. And what is your biggest concern about what's going on right now? Is it just the divisiveness of politics, or is it?
It's artificial intelligence. It's divisiveness. I've done research on the fourth turning. I think we're at the end of a lot of business cycles. I'm into Ray Dalio in that I'm a finance girl too. So we're at the end of not only like an 80-year business cycle, a 20-year business cycle, but then a 300-year business cycle too, all kind of coming to head. And then I'm going to tie it with my weird spiritual woo-woo stuff in that the sun is experiencing intense solar flares peaking, I think, in 2025. Basically, giant electromagnetic waves are being blasted at our poor selves. And so I think we're just in a really big, figuring it out stage, whatever you want to call that.
So when you say 2025, is that when we're supposed to turn the proverbial corner on all of this bullshit that's going on and all this heartache that's out there?
I think it's going to take longer than that. Are we going to Band-Aid rip it off, or are we going to slow pace ourselves to the end of this decade? I don't know. But either way, there's a lot of change, whichever way you look at it.
All right. Well, it seems like you're pretty optimistic because you had the courage to cross the country. You had the courage to go for, as much as you could do in skateboarding. And then you were smart enough to know, hey, I got to make a living. And then you discovered yourself again in a new way. You did reinvent yourself and became this social media skateboarder influencer. So sounds like things are going pretty well for you, despite the situation out there in our broken, fractured mess of a moment in our country. And I'm hoping it is a quick fix, because we all got to come back together. So
we too.
I will not take any more of your time. I know you have a lot to do.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you one more thing before I let you go.
Oh, yes.
As an influencer, what is the main message you want to put out into the world?
Wow. The more that you heal yourself, you help heal the world.
That's a good one.
Going into yourself and doing things that, like, bettering your relationship to you will always net you more of what you think you want in the outside world.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep trying to better myself. And I'm going to check you out, and I'm going to start following you. So I can't wait. And I appreciate your time and honor your story. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you. Thanks, Debbie.
This episode of Deborahcratic was hosted by me, Deborah Drucker. It was produced by Lee Rocker with co-production and editing by Gideon Brower. Our amazing music was performed by Amy Nelson and Kathy Guthrie of Folk Uke. Be sure to rate and review this episode wherever you listen to podcasts. For more Deborahcratic, check out Deborahcratic.com and our Instagram at Deborahcratic. That's DEBORAH Cratic, like Democratic. Until next time.
Political is personal, so let's talk about it. We've been there, we've had it. It's all